Hello and welcome to Eye on Africa with me, Thomas Waterhouse. These are the headlines. The man sacked by Robert Mugabe is just hours away from becoming Zimbabwe's next president, but the opposition's already concerned about just how democratic Emmerson Mnangagwa's presidency will be. Algerians vote to elect mayors and council members in thousands of towns and local assemblies. Making a rare public appearance to cast his ballot is the country's ailing president, whose ruling coalition is set to do well. And Tunisia expects its olive oil output to triple this winter. We take you deep into the organic olive groves where the harvest is already well underway. On the eve of his inauguration, Zimbabwe's new president has urged his fellow countrymen to remain peaceful. Emmerson Mnangagwa will officially fill Robert Mugabe's shoes this Friday, ushering in what he's called a new and full democracy. But as our team has been finding out, the opposition has already raised an eyebrow or two about just how new and full his vision of democracy will be. Caroline Dumais and Stefan Carstens report.
The opposition had joined the ruling party in every protest to dethrone Robert Mugabe. Their historical leader, Morgan Tsvangirai, asked his members of parliament to back the impeachment process. His militants were hoping to reap the fruit of their support. But this will not happen. Morgan Tsvangirai told France 24 today that he has not yet been contacted to participate in any government.
Well, I don't even know whether a government of national unity is on the cards. It's up to the president to define what he wants to see over the next 8 months before we go to the next elections. I don't think it's on the cards. Tomorrow we are inaugurating Mr. Mnangagwa as president. And if by now people have not discussed what form of government will emerge, then it's a ZANU-PF extension of Mugabe's rule. As far as we are concerned, as the opposition, we want reforms in place and then go to free and fair elections. That's our mantra.
The 2018 elections are the only hope for a real change in Zimbabwe, and voters are already queuing to register on time. A younger generation say the only way to have a new regime is to jump into the political arena, like Linda, an activist who has spent 87 days in detention. She thinks that nothing new can come from ZANU-PF. She wants to become an MP.
Zimbabwe is now a country where the rich get richer on a daily basis and the poor get poorer. And the ZANU-PF elite have made so sure that they manipulate the masses in Zimbabwe so that they can keep on oppressing them and coercing them to vote.
Opposition leaders will fight for the next elections not to be stolen. In Harare, the electoral campaign has already started.
Moving on, we can't remain silent while humans are mistreated. That's what Rwanda's foreign minister has said as her government offered to take in thousands of African migrants who reportedly face slavery in Libya. That offer comes after footage was broadcast last week on CNN, which purportedly shows the bidding for and the sale of migrant men. The UN chief has called for an immediate investigation, saying the alleged transactions could amount to crimes against humanity. A manhunt is underway in Nigeria for those responsible for recent violence in the northeastern Adamawa state. Police say that at least 30 people were killed when local farmers attacked herdsmen there. On Monday, the farmers from the Christian Bashama ethnic group stormed 4 settlements that are home to Muslim Fulani herders in the district of Numan, hacking people to death and setting fire to buildings. Algeria's president might be old and frail, but that hasn't stopped Abdelaziz Bouteflika from casting his ballot in local elections there this Thursday. 23 million people are eligible to vote for mayors and departmental leaders. But with Algeria in the grips of an economic crisis and after a lacklustre campaign, polling stations have been far from packed, as Clément Bonnereau explains.
Waving at the crowd from a wheelchair, Algerian President Abdelaziz Bouteflika made a rare public appearance on Thursday when he cast his ballot at a school near the capital, Algiers. Like him, 23 million Algerians were called on to vote in the country's local elections. Some, however, showed little enthusiasm for the poll.
Of course I'm not voting, especially not this time. There's a huge crisis in Algeria and no one is doing anything about it. Our country is sinking and young people are leaving.
Turnout is expected to be low as in previous polls. In May, only 35% of voters cast their ballots in the parliamentary election, a sign that voter apathy has been growing in recent years.
People are tired of voting in the same elections and seeing the same faces, the same slogans and the same parties. So in the end, they think there's no point in voting and they just don't turn out.
Algerians have also been increasingly frustrated at their country's economic difficulties. A slump in the crucial oil revenue has sparked a surge in public debt, and now over 30% of young people are unemployed. A situation highlighted in a recent video by YouTube star Anas Tina. Dressed as a homeless man, he lashes out at politicians and businessmen and accuses them of hogging the country's wealth. His video has been viewed more than 5 million times already on YouTube.
And finally, it's set to be a bumper season for Tunisia's olive oil output, with a number of bottles filled set to triple this November and December. The industry relies on 70 million trees planted over 1.7 million hectares. And several producers have adopted a new strategy to rake in more money and get more recognition. Our correspondents Sandro Lutiens and Hamdi Tilili report.
Winter in Tunisia heralds the start of an all-important harvest. For several months, these workers will gather the new treasures of Tunisian agriculture, organic olives. We are here in the region of Sfax, on one of the country's 200,000 hectares of certified organic olive groves.
Handpicking is important to protect the olives. We must prevent them from being damaged.
95% of Tunisian olive trees are farmed in the local and traditional way, that's to say without chemicals. Converting to organic is just a tiny step that the Tunisian olive oil leader and main exporter CHO was ready to take. And in 2013 they went even further, producing their own bottles and their very own brand.
Today our products are sent all around the world and we're growing very fast. If we can now have an olive oil with a Tunisian brand, saying that's Tunisian and the customer enjoys it, it's also good publicity for the country.
Going organic has indeed become a national strategy. For years, Tunisia sold off its olive oil cheaply to major international players. With an organic product in Tunisian bottles, that's all about to change.
We want to give the image that Tunisia is a country that produces organic products. And I think this image can be very interesting.
Organic products may soon help the country reduce its trade deficit. In the past 15 years, Tunisian organic exports have already gone up from 2 million to 200 million euros.
Well, that's all from the Eye on Africa team. Do stay with us here on France 24 for more world news and headlines coming up.